How to budget with variable income. I know it can be difficult to budget even if you have regular income, but when you have variable income, it can be even a little more tricky. So in today's video, we are going to dive into exactly how to budget with variable income. So let's dive right in. First off, let's discuss what is a variable income. Essentially, variable income just means that your income changes every single time you get paid. For example, if you have a 9-to-5 job, usually you have a paycheck every 2 weeks and it's the same amount. But with variable income, you're getting paid maybe once a month or twice a month, 3 times a month, and all of those amounts vary. So let's talk about how to budget when our income is varying every time we get paid. This type of income is very common for entrepreneurs, small business owners, freelancers, and contractors. While it is hard to predict how much you are getting paid every single month, we are going to talk about how to manage that much easier. All right, the first thing that we want to do is determine what our average income has been over the past year or even just the past few months, depending on how long you've had variable income. So take a look at previous months and come up with an average per month for that variable income. For my example, we are going to use $10,000 for the average monthly income. And now we are going to take a look at all of our different expenses that we have every single month. And I know this can vary, so you want to go back at least 3 months, if not longer, and take a look at all of the expenses that you've had. And this could be business expenses and or personal expenses, however you want to set up your budget. But it could be things like your software that you're paying for every single month, or looking at the personal expenses, it could be your insurance payment, and that could be every 6 months. So make sure and include expenses that aren't just happening every single month, but expenses that might happen once a year or twice a year. And let's come up with a total for those expenses. And for my example, we are going to keep it simple and say that our monthly expenses are $5,000. And since this varies from month to month, we just want to know kind of what that average is. And when you're looking at this, it will help you determine which expenses are coming up, because if you're looking at your expenses that just happen once or twice a year, then you can break that down. And if it's happening once a year, you can divide that amount by 12 and include that in your monthly expenses. And if you are an entrepreneur or a small business owner, make sure you are including what you are paying yourself in your monthly expenses. So what is your owner's pay? You want that included here. So this number, our average monthly expenses, $5,000, is going to be our break-even number. This is the amount we are going to need in order to kind of break even with our expenses. And now we want to set up a buffer that we want to have in our checking account. Because if all of our expenses are coming out of our checking account every single month, we need to make sure that we have enough money in there to cover those expenses. So we want to determine a buffer amount that we want to keep in there. And because we are still getting paid, just not on a regular every 2-week schedule, but we still are making money, and then we have expenses every single month, we want to come up with just a buffer. And for example, for me personally, I keep a pretty low buffer in my checking account for my personal side of things. I don't like keeping a lot of money in my checking because it's not earning me any money at all. The interest rate on a checking account is usually really, really low, 0.01%, maybe if that. And with a savings account, you can get it a lot higher, especially if you are looking at an online bank. I like keeping the majority of my savings in Ally. They're earning almost 4% interest. I think it's 3.85 right now, and it continues to increase. So any large amounts of cash that I'm keeping, I want to keep it in a high yield savings account. But I do want some money in my checking because I don't want to completely drain out my checking and then get fees if an expense tries to go through, but there's no money in there. The way to determine our buffer could be the highest payment that you may have for one of your expenses. For example, if you have a $1,500 payment that comes out every single month, then that could be the buffer that you want to leave in your checking account. or it could be a little bit higher. It depends on where you feel comfortable. Like I said, I like keeping the lowest amount possible, but kind of figure out a good buffer for you. For this example, we are going to have a buffer of $2,000. So that's the amount that I'm always going to keep in my checking account no matter what happens. And I don't want to be checking my account every single day. I like doing my budget at least once a month. But I do want to keep an eye on things, and one of the ways that I like to do this is by using a free app. It's called Empower. It used to be called Personal Capital. But you can see all of your accounts in one place, and I check this pretty much every morning so I can see exactly how much is in my checking account. Without logging into my checking account, I just look in Empower and I can see everything there. If that's something you're interested in, I will leave a referral link below. You can click on that and set up a free Empower account. And we want to come up with kind of a trigger amount. So when our checking account gets to a certain dollar amount, we know that we need to transfer some money into our checking. So I'm going to put that just a little bit lower than our buffer amount. So I'm going to put it at $1,500. And the reason these two numbers are different, our buffer at $2,000 and then our trigger at $1,500, because there is some flexibility here. So if there's not exactly $2,000 in there, but I know a payment is coming in soon, then I'm okay leaving it at $1,700. But if it does get to $1,500, then I do want to transfer money over. So determine what your trigger amount would be. When are you going to pull the trigger and transfer money from another account into your checking account so you can make sure that all of your expenses are going to be covered. And then we do want to keep some cash on hand, like I said before. So we want a certain amount, and usually you can go with 3 times your break-even number. So our break-even number is $5,000. So 3 times 5,000 is 15,000. So that could be the amount that we are keeping in our savings account just in case, because our income is definitely going to vary. Some months it might be 5,000, or some months it might be 15,000 or 2,000, right? It's not going to be that same 10,000 every single month. So we do want to keep enough on hand that we feel comfortable. And I think 3 times the break-even number, this $5,000, is a good amount to keep on hand. And you can also look at it this way, because I do like keeping as little as possible in cash in my savings account. So if you have access to cash another way, for example, if you could put an expense on your credit card and then pay it off before you get charged interest, so maybe about 30 days, then you could have a little less. So it depends on where you are comfortable. But let's come up with a number that we want to keep in reserves in our savings account, essentially. That is going to help us manage our variable income and not feel stressed if we have a lower income month. For now, I'm going to put $15,000 that I want to keep in savings. So the $5,000 times 3. So now that we kind of have things set up, we know exactly where we are, because that's super important. We are going to ask ourselves what we would do when we have a high cash month, or a break-even month, or a low cash month. Let's start with the most fun one. This would be when we have a really high cash month. So for example, maybe we are making $20,000 instead of an average of $10,000 that month. What are we going to do with that extra $10,000? The first thing we want to do is actually look at our savings or our reserves. So the savings amount, and we want to see, okay, exactly how much do I have in my savings? Is it fully funded? Is it $15,000? If it's not, then I'm going to add money to my savings to make it $15,000. So if it is only at $12,000, then I'm going to add $3,000 more to make it that $15,000. So that would be my first step. Now, if this is already fully funded, if your savings is already at $15,000, then I'm going to move to my first goal. Let's say I need $5,000 to take my Italy trip. I would put money in the savings for Italy. That would be my next step. So I already know what my next goal is. Once this is fully funded, I know exactly where I want to spend my money. And let's say we are able to fully fund that trip to Italy. And if that is the case, then we're going to move to our second goal. So maybe we want to save up for a down payment on a property. Then I'm going to put money into that savings account for a property down payment. And then you can even take it out and look at a third goal. So if you've watched any of my other videos, you probably know that I am a big proponent of setting goals and taking the actions to get to those goals. So take a few minutes and figure out what are your top 3 goals so that you can actually fund them when you are ready, instead of just having that $20K month and thinking, oh, I can spend $10K wherever I want. And then all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, where did that $10K go? You want to make a plan beforehand so you can spend it where you really want to be spending your money. Or if you are looking at this as your business, maybe you want to pay yourself a bonus that year or that month. Then you can go ahead and pay yourself a bonus and then spend it wherever you would like to. But just make sure that you have a plan for that money beforehand. Let's move to the next example. What if we just have a break-even month? Then we are going to still pay ourselves if we are business owners. We want to make sure that we pay ourselves with our business money, and we'll just continue to move on as is. And now what happens in a low cash month? I feel like this is where a lot of people struggle with having variable income. So during that low cash month, if we are making below what our expenses would be, that $5,000, then we are going to pull from our savings and pay for our expenses. So we want to make sure that we are still taking care of our expenses, including paying ourselves. But that's why we have a savings. We don't want this money just sitting here doing nothing. If we have money sitting here doing nothing, we want to invest it. So if we have money in the savings, then we want to be able to use that money appropriately. So we would take money from our savings to pay our expenses. And then we can see where we are next month. And if we don't have another high cash month, if we have another low cash month, then we're going to pull more money from our savings and pay our monthly expenses. But the way this is set up, you kind of know what to expect every single month, at least an average. And of course, some months will be higher, some months will be lower. But you know what your monthly expenses are, so you know what is going to be coming out of your account, out of your checking account. And then you're going to have a buffer in your checking at all times. And then if we see it start to drop to that $1,500, then we're going to take money. We can take it from our savings, or we can try to increase our income and pay for it that way. But we want to make sure and transfer money over so that we have enough buffer in our checking account. But this is just kind of a quick overview on how to manage variable income. You can still be very successful with budgeting, and it's going to make it a lot easier if you have this set up, especially if you have variable income. And going back to, if you have more money in your savings account than you actually want there, than this $15,000, then that would mean you could have extra money to invest. And if you want help investing, I have a free masterclass where I go over how I can help you invest in the stock market. If that's something you are interested in, I will leave the link below in the description. You can click on that and check out the free masterclass. Comment below and tell me if this was helpful or not, if you are going to manage your variable income a lot better now. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information, and to the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and to the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure and check out the videos on the side of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.